Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Essie and Scrappy. Good to see Lucas De Silva there with his Team Georgia shirt. I love that. Nice, nice. And you know what? A good weekend to break that out because it is the US Open in Vegas. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You have your duels, which we're going to talk about that. And but we're going to start with all of the shenanigans that happened in State College, PA this past weekend at the Olympic trials.
And I'm going to ruffle some feathers.
You're going to ruffle some feathers.
I got something I want to say.
All right. So for people who didn't watch, or people who did watch, who want, a summation of 5 things that stood out to Scrappy from State College, we're starting it off with
Penn State fans no longer get to be holier than thou. You no longer get to play that card for twofold. One, I haven't heard nary a word about Starachi medically forfeiting out. So there's one, right? I haven't heard a peep when they were like, oh, Spencer Lee, bad for sport, medical for it. Blah. So that. And 2, the treatment of my goat and yours, Jordan Burroughs. How dare you? Penn State should never host a USA Wrestling event again. I'm so serious. Never again. Don't host Veterans World Team Trials there. Don't host the Pennsylvania State Tournament there.
So, well, they don't. It's in Hershey, but regardless,
you know what I mean.
Regardless, actually, so I've actually gone back and forth with a few people on this, and I agree with you. And one of the things that always bothers me is that people go, well, they're not the true Penn State fans. They probably are from rural, central PA, and they don't represent. I'm sorry. We all have to police our fan bases. And you know what? The ridiculousness of what was said to Jordan Burroughs was crazy to me, in that it might have been his last tournament. That's crazy.
Yes, and I'm not even typically that guy. I am a big proponent of, hey, look, to some extent, home field advantage. I am a proponent of that. Right. But there's a level that it stops being home field advantage and it starts being your new. I'm not gonna say what I want to say, but it starts becoming a different thing. I
agree.
Penn State fans, shame on you. If you're one of them, shame on you. And if you weren't policing your own, shame on you. Down some for the sport.
It wasn't a good look. And another thing that wasn't a good look, and I don't know if this is one of your 5, but another thing that wasn't a good look was the ridiculousness of how long the event was, how much they had to cut weight between.
That was point number. That was going to be my second one.
Okay. All right. So go.
We need a better system for this. And I'm not as far as Tom Ryan was, where we should take away the bye to the finals for the previous world team members. I understand it, both perspectives. So I'm not mad either way, but for sure the actual timeliness of the event needs to be looked at heavily.
I agree. The times were a problem and all of those sorts of things. I did want to ask you about that. Do you think that qualifying the weight and being a returning world medalist, do you think it should get you an advantage at the tournament?
So I don't like that they get a bye all the way to the finals. Maybe a bye to the sems, right? I like that there's tiers. I feel like if you're the returning world team member, but you don't get us anything, yeah, a bye to the quarters is deserved. And if you medal or win, maybe a bye to the sems. But I don't know. That's one where a gust of wind could blow by my bedroom door and it will convince me the opposite way. I'm not strong in either direction on that front.
Yeah, so I agree with you, and I agree with you on a couple of different things. I like the middle ground of getting to the semis. I like the idea that you've earned some kind of advantage, but not a complete. It seems like a complete advantage. I mean, a dominant advantage in a lot of respects. But I do like the fact that you have some advantage based upon your body of work coming in.
Agreed.
All right, number 3.
End of an era. We see Gilman go down. We see Burroughs go down. And the biggest one is I've been one of the ones screaming from the mountaintops that David Taylor is the best wrestler in the world, pound for pound. He goes down. Jaden Cox retired. Alex Marinelli retired. Like, I thought 2024 Olympic trials was going to be the end of an era. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't expect it to be this much. Like, it's almost like a paradigmal shift. Like, very clearly, okay, it's now the next group's turn. And it's interesting, but it's also sad. I mean, for me, I grew up watching Jordan Burroughs and those guys. I grew up, 2012, I'm 11 at that point, when Jordan wins his gold. So for me, it's odd to see, and I'd love to know some of my other age members' thoughts on this front. But yeah, that's my third point, is end of an era.
Yeah, so I like that one. I'm now old enough that I've seen some eras end. But I get it. I mean, Jordan Burroughs had a huge impact. Jaden Cox, David Taylor, I think, was probably my biggest surprise. I mean, Aaron Brooks wrestled absolutely awesome to win. So it's it'll be interesting to see. It's a different looking team, but still interesting to see. All right, number 4.
Number 4 for me is, this might be the worst rule set for Americans in a long time. The style of wrestling that we do here in America, it seems as if, okay, I gotta be very specific here. I watch the Russians wrestle and Iranians and a lot of even the Europeans, and it seems like the rule set, or maybe they have changed their style to pander the rule set. Americans don't do that, and I feel like that's kind of why we saw a couple guys get caught up. Watch that match that Burroughs had with Nolf. There were certain aspects of the match where it almost felt like what he maybe used to get away with Jordan under a different rule set, under maybe the 2-period era, you couldn't really get away with. And it just seems that I think the rule set in this era is specifically rough for Americans.
All right. If it's rough for Americans, how many men's freestylers win an Olympic medal or an Olympic gold medal?
It's tough to guess, because I look at a guy like Spencer Lee and I'm like, he's done it at every level. He looked really good, so I have high hopes. Then I look at a guy like Aaron Brooks, who wrestled phenomenally. It's like surprisingly phenomenal. And I'm like, okay, this is odd. Wasn't expecting that. But I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. I would say, if we're going to take a punt, I say 3 of them get on the medal, on the podium.
Do you think that actually one of the things that you're talking about, though, is that, and this is, I think Brooks has adapted to the rules.
He specifically has. If you notice the way he uses the edge a lot, it's not even trying to push him out. It's more just trying to get the ref calling them on pass. One of his passivities he didn't get him to the edge. He just kept working him a step or 2 at a time. And it made David, or not, it might have been David, I can't remember. It made whoever's wrestling look like he was being passive. And that's one of the things we see the Russians do all the time. So I think he specifically has done it. And he's really the only one that, to me, has specifically worked his rule set.
Yeah.
Or his style, for that matter.
Number 5.
Man, Aaron Brooks is good at wrestling. That's my number 5. Man, I have never seen someone out David Taylor. He out Magic Manned him. That's what he did. Like, he He wrestled the style of match that to beat David Taylor, you have to be the single best wrestler in the world because you're going to meet him on his terms and you're going to beat him on his terms in his playing field. And he did it. And now here's the other question I have. If David's wrestling any other guy in that bracket, where does home field advantage go? Because I wonder, I wish I was there because I would love to have known what the sounds in the arena were during that match. I would be fascinated to know.
Yeah.
Because it had to have been, from what I heard on the stream, it looked like it was heavily in Brooks's favor. Or sounded like him. It sounded like it was heavy Brooks crowd.
It did to me too. I wouldn't say heavy, but it definitely seemed like it was more of a Brooks crowd than it did seem like a David Taylor crowd. All right, so we don't get yelled at, and we've done our 5. I'm going to give you a number 6, and that is women's freestyle. You only get 1. Was there one takeaway from women's freestyle?
If I only have one, Adeline Gray just continues to defy Father Time. Continues to every time we see her look better and better, and it only makes me wonder: is this her Olympics?
Adeline Gray lost,
or not? I said Adeline Gray.
You meant Helen Maroulis? No, you said
Helen Maroulis. Helen Maroulis is who I meant. Ladies and gentlemen, I just got the before this, so excuse me. But yeah,
I mean, Adeline's great, but the question you have to actually ask yourself is Kennedy Blades. Woo!
She looked incredible too.
Yep.
But what I was going to say about Maroulis was, is this the Olympics where she gets back to the top of the podium? That's what I was going to ask, and I got kerfuzzled. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
It's all good. Do you have one for Greco?
Not directly. I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of Greco, which I just didn't get a chance just because of the way it worked out. I can never say his name right, but the gentleman who lost to Kamal Bey, he is my hero. 45 years old, whatever. Yeah. 44. God bless him. And he's good too. He's dangerous, man.
He is good. He is good. He is really good. You know, and then we've got like an Ellis Coleman, you know, who's back again. You've got a number of different individuals on the Greco side, but I'm with you. Yeah. All right. So let's shift to your event this coming weekend, the DonFather Duals, which I love. I love the name of. And what do you got? What are you going to go sneak off and grab?
I should have had the prop ready.
There you go.
Will be one of the trophies given to the winning team. This will be one of them. That's we have a boys and a girls division. Set little buddy right here while I do this. All right.
I love him. The only thing that I wish he had was like maybe an Italian suit on.
I know. I wanted to do that, but I also thought, you know, no matter the theme, I feel like Sasquatch is always going to be the overarching thing. So we went with a redder base this time. We'll always have some sort of a Sasquatch as the tournament trophy. The banners are in front of me as we speak. The medals are to the left. Very excited for this event. Very excited.
Very cool. All right. So give me 5 things that people should know about this weekend's duels for you.
So 5 things. First one I'm going to say is the girls division is heavy Tennessee. You got Cleveland bringing their crew, Ground Zero, Mayhem, and Next Level, all from Tennessee, all got hammers. Boskin hasn't, you know, given me his lineup yet because he's still getting a few, but Ground Zero, you got girls like Peyton Agnell, Alyssa Archer, Janiyah Johnson, who's super tough. Next Level, you know, a girl like a Madeline Allen, Abigail Santiago. And Mayhem always brings a tough crew. They came down to the backyard brawl and were really tough. So I'm excited to get to run heads up with some of those teams for sure.
Okay. And how does your girls team look?
We got some hammers. We got our hitters. You know, your Greta Garbazovas, Sam Patton, Willow Harris, Artemis Eaton, Mitchell Burke. We got a really tough lineup, as well as some girls that I've wanted to get in a lineup for a little bit. I'm excited to see how they play out, like a Sierra Lopes from Carrollton. She's making her debut for us.
So are the girls wrestling freestyle, or is it all folk
Yes.
style?
Girls freestyle, boys folk style.
Okay, all right. I knew the boys were folk style. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the girls. All right, number 2.
Number 2 for me, man, 150 is already looking like an action-packed way in the boys. You got Brahman and Metzenbrinker from Alabama with Assassins. Jack Sharp, he's from Georgia. Brian Papkin. Corbin Avens, he's on Ground Zero. Alex Velasquez on Next Level. George Mayholtz will be in attendance. He's with Palmetto State. Just 150. I don't want to say it's going to be the best bracket, but it looks to be a super deep weight where every duel you're basically going to have a couple of studs lining up against one another.
All right, I love it. 150. Keep an eye out if you're sitting in the stands. Number 3.
Number 3, triple for this is more of a growth point. Triple the teams from last year in total. It's gonna be really interesting, especially on the boys' side, because I feel like it's really anybody's ball game. I don't think that there's an out and out favorite. Like when I was trying to seed it's really rough to seed. I don't know where the number. It's just gonna be one of those weekends where it's gonna be whoever has their best stuff. I'm super excited. I think honestly 5 or 6 teams could win the boys, and on the girls 3 or 4 teams could all take this puppy home.
How much fun is that? I love it when there's a lot of competition.
Parity.
Yeah, a lot of parity. You know, a lot of evenly matched teams, especially in duels. You know, that makes it a lot of fun in duels. Number 4.
Number 4, man, the middle schoolers are coming out strong this weekend. I have all the grades for the boys. You got 100 pounds. You got Harvey Kale. He's from Alabama. Isaac Jung, who if you're a Georgia guy, you know who Isaac Jung is. He's a Morse Fitness product. He's wrestling with Bad Natured Rodents. He's a 7th grader. Liam Nielsen, Carson Kekamo with Next Level. I don't know how to say his name, but I've seen him at tournaments. You got Jonah Thiessen. Michael Higley for Assassins. Lots of guys that are middle schoolers, not just in the bottom 2 weight classes. So I'm excited to see how they go and compete.
So that's one thing I really like about. We get to see that in Alabama, we get to see that in Tennessee, we get to see that in Florida. We don't get to see a lot of the middle schoolers necessarily because they don't compete in the high school events in the state of Georgia. So these other events give us an opportunity to kind of watch them. And just so you know, it is no longer against GHSA rules to wrestle against an 8th grader.
Thank goodness. Okay.
All right. Number 5.
Man, number 5, there were a lot. I was trying to find what is my favorite match of the weekend. Obviously, this is all hypothetically speaking because we don't know who's going to match up with who.
Right.
But man, one of the ones that's sticking at me is a possible Rob Atwood, Aaron Reiner matchup at 190 pounds. That looks like it could be a lot of fun. Or sorry, 215, excuse me, not 190. What am I talking about? The way, we have a possible Greta Garbazova, Janiyah Johnson matchup, which looks like that could be a peach. There's just it's one of those things where a George Mayholtz and Brian Papkin possibly lining up against one another. They wrestled a handful of times and it's always been a barn burner. Zeke Harris at 190. He's got a possible matchup with JT Spence out of Palmetto State. Just lots of really, really solid possible matchups that I'm super excited for.
All right. So before we jump to the U.S. Open and give the 5 things from there, let's do a rundown of the particulars. Lumpkin County High School, Sunday.
Yep.
8 a.m. we're starting?
Yep, 8 to 8:30. We're going to run that first round. It'll be, obviously we got to get the rest meeting out of the way and all that jazz, but that will be the starting area, 8 to 8:30.
Okay. And what we'll wrestle for all the way through much of the afternoon until the evening. How many duels does each team get?
6 to 7, depending on the way the brackets lay out. 6 to 7 each team.
Ooh.
It'll be good. 6 match, shout out Lumpkin County and Commerce. I'm gonna drag some of Commerce's mats up there. Shout out to them. Girls are getting 2 mats, boys are gonna run on 4 the way it worked out. Should start that last duel 3 to 3:30. As a whole, I'm just super excited, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Is it on track or no?
No.
It's not on track. It's not anywhere.
Nope.
So everyone, what I'll do is I will try to get all the information from Scrappy, and we'll post it on the website so you guys can see it.
I was already kind of planning on. I'm gonna kind of have the website up while we're there, and I'll be updating nonsense. And then also, I want to try to get, like, when I know there's gonna be a really good match, I'll make sure that we get a camera there to try to get all the all the matches that should be super good.
Okay. All right. Let's transition to the big event this week for U15.
Second biggest event. DonFather's bigger. Second biggest.
DonFather's bigger. I called it the DonFather before, did I? What did I?
Yeah, you did. Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. Second biggest event. Excuse me. U.S. Open in Vegas. 5 things to know about Vegas this week if you are paying attention to what's going on out there.
5 things. Thing number 1, please make the girls showcase freestyle. It doesn't make sense. I was talking to someone else about it. It might have been Garbazovas's mom, because I think we were talking about that event. It doesn't make sense to me having that event in the dead middle of freestyle for the girls be folk style. Especially when college wrestling is freestyle for the girls. I don't understand it.
Number 2.
Lots of Georgia guys going out there, not only representing Georgia, but representing their colleges, which I really like seeing. You got a guy, for instance, Jacob Levy. He's representing North Carolina. He's representing Tar Heels.
Tar Heel Wrestling Club.
Yep. I very much like seeing a lot of Georgia guys out there.
All right. Number 3.
Number 3, U17, man. U17, man. Some of these brackets, if you know, and you're kind of peeping around. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, I'm excited for a couple of those weight classes.
Do you have one particular weight in mind?
Man, 110 kilograms in freestyle, super tough. 60 kilograms looks ridiculous. Those would be my 2. 60 and 110 kilos to me look absolutely nuts.
And just so you know, 110 kilos, one of the reasons that Scrappy went in that direction for U17s in freestyle is because we have 2 16U Fargo Champs that are registered, both from the Southeast. Jacob Levy from Georgia, Michael Mako from Florida. I don't know if they'll cross paths because that actual bracket is quite good. Quite good, not just those.
I want them to meet in the finals. I know it's a long shot, but man, I want that match in the finals.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you got Alex Taylor from Ohio.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a stud.
There was someone else in that bracket that I saw. I can't remember who, but there was like 4 or 5 names that I was like, my God, like all 4 or 5 of them could win it.
All right. So is it number 4?
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4 for me is Greco numbers are a little bit down, and I'm not liking seeing that. At least from what I could tell from last year. I don't like seeing the lack of Greco guys.
Well, one of the things that I've done is I've been writing some of the previews for it. And I have noticed, especially when you get up to U17s and U20s, not necessarily U15s, if it's almost like they're picking away and they're picking freestyle and not picking Greco. Yeah. For example, Mako is, from what I registered for freestyle, he's not registered for Greco. So, I mean, maybe that's just the thing, is that they're...
I'd love to know how much the weight classes play into that, because I will say the Greco weight classes are not the best.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, they're different. Yeah, it's like they don't have 77, they have 79.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the weights are different. And I could see where if someone's like 151 walking around, it's like either cut down to 138.5 or it's 164. And
All
it's
right.
like, well, it's like, all right, what do I do now? Like, you're kind of stuck between two.
Number 5.
Number 5 for me is I hate to be Georgia homer, right? I do, but
Yeah, wait, does
but
it?
I really don't. But I also noticed it with Tennessee and some other states too, but in Georgia specifically, I love seeing Compound have like 7 or 8 guys. Level Up have 5 or 6 that were representing them. I love seeing, I always have a club warfare, and I say it as a joke, but I also kind of don't. I love seeing when the clubs get to compete against one another, and there is that level of, kind of clashing. I do like that. So I do enjoy seeing that. And I think it's only a sign for things to come for Georgia. Seeing that level of, hey, Compound, I think is bringing actually 12, 13 guys. I think is the actual number that they're bringing. I think Level Up's bringing 8 or 9. Roundtree obviously has 8 or 9. I'm very interested to see how that all plays out.
All right, so I'm going to add 1 or 2 here, and for the U.S. Open. Number 1 I'm going to add is U20 Freestyle POW. And not all the, I mean, lots of weights, super good. Lots of weights are super good. I'm just doing the preview right now. But check out some of the names at 57 kilos. Luke Lillidahl, Mac Mauger, Jax Forrest, Anthony Knox, Aiden Thomas, Cale Lairdson. All right. Not to mention from the Southeast, JJ Peace, Cam Stinson, like a Brody Christmas from Alabama, a Cale Kuski from Georgia, a Bryson Terrell from Tennessee. I mean,
that weight is disgusting.
57 kilos
Ew.
is crazy. And you know what's crazy about it is Jax Forrest just competed at the Olympic trials.
Luke Lillidahl,
and so did Luke Lillidahl. They just competed at the Olympic trials, and they're in the U20 57 kilo bracket.
Man,
how?
That weight is ill. Ugh, disgusting. That weight is rough. That's a rough toe to hoe.
The other one I'm going to mention is if you don't know a lot about Greco, right? But you're interested in Greco, go watch U20 Greco. I just got to be the finals. It's got to be. I can't imagine it's not. At 67 kilos, Pearson Manville, Joel Adams.
I saw that was probably how I was going to line up.
I mean, you've got Brendan Van Hoke, you've got Noah.
Yeah, they're
got a lot
really
of other
good
really
guys.
good kids. But Manville Adams is like your main event. All right. And then the last thing I'm going to say, and again, I'm sticking with the U20s, and this is one of the things that I always find to be the most fascinating thing, and that is you've got kids who are still in high school. Drew Gorman, U20, going into a senior year. You've got Bambinelli, same thing. You've got, CJ Torres down in Florida. You've got a lot of different individuals who are still in high school. You also have guys who competed at NCAAs this past year as freshmen in college. They're all in the same brackets together. That's fun.
I love anything that lets us see future matchups. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I open my event to middle schoolers, is I want us to see some of these young bucks that aren't at high school yet, but will be soon. And now you have it there, obviously a different level, relatively speaking, but it's still the same principle. If we get to see some of these high school guys that they're going to have to run heads up at some point in college with some of these cats, so why not see it now?
Yeah. No, 100%. All right. And then the last one I'm going to say is 74 kilos, U20 freestyle. Check it out. Just the Southeast kids. CJ Torres, Cooper Haas, Gunnar Holland, Dom Bambinelli, Latrell Schaefer, Logan Fowler. I mean, there's many others as well. Thomas Snipes, who wrestles at the Citadel. all at 74 kilos from the Southeast. You add in Ladarian Lockett, Joe Seeley, Braden Scholes, Bo Mantanona. 74 kilos, 57 kilos. Those are the two weights to watch.
My match of the whole weekend, though, might be Adams Manville if they get to each other.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. All right, guys. So that is 5 things from the Olympic trials, 5 things from the DonFather Duels. If you're in Lumpkin County, come out. We'll take some pictures. We'll have some great matches and that sort of thing. Probably be talking a little bit about what happened over in Vegas as well.
Oh, probably.
Yep. US Open. Make sure you catch that as well. Any parting shots, Scrappy?
You know, I was going to wait till next week, but just like last week, as we were kind of getting ready to do this today, I confirmed, for those who didn't watch last week I confirmed the SCW Lightweight Championship Tournament on May the 19th. I now can confirm the Middleweight Championship Bracket also happening on May the 19th. At the top end of the bracket, you have a guy that I've trained with and is one of the single best young wrestlers in the entire state of Georgia, has wrestled in South Carolina and Tennessee. And I love his moniker, Myth in the Making, Marcus Manos. First off, hell of a moniker. Second off, he's a stud. He runs heads up with a guy that's wrestled all over the state of Georgia, has wrestled most recently in West Georgia. That's AJ Black. He's another guy. Either one of those could take that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And now for me, bout number 4 is where we see myself in the mix as I run heads up with the other half of the SCA Tag Team Champions in Austin Thorne. Those will be bouts 3 and 4 of the night, and then that championship match will be match number 7 of the evening. Though all 4 of us, super talented guys, I respect all 3 of them, except Austin. We'll get there when we get there. But I'm excited for this bracket. I'm going to say it. I'm going to continue to say it. If you're a pro wrestling fan, May 19th, the Royston Dome, 305 Cherry Street. If you're not, I highly recommend you give this a chance. It's professional wrestling, and we're bringing it to you in a different light. I would highly recommend coming and seeing it.
All right, guys. So that is this week's show. Scrappy, thank you for indulging us with that bracket. And you know what? We'll be back next week, talk a little bit about the US Open and a bunch of other things, man. That works?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right. See you.